This is the YOB ConvoCast, one-on-one conversations with your other brother's authors, community members, supporters, and friends.
What's up, friends, and welcome back to the YOB ConvoCast, conversations with the your others around us and amongst us. And my name is Tom. I lead your other brothers, and it's a really great community. And this community just keeps getting greater and greater, more and more dynamic, more and more diverse. And we have this person on the show today, and she has been on multiple ConvoCasts now. You're building a bit of a resume. It's our other sister, Erin. What's up, Erin?
Hey, Tom. Hey, everyone.
What's up? Yeah. How many of these have you done now? Three, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
You did. You had the esteemed honor of doing the double-decker finale, basically, of the sexuality series last year, which was fun.
Yes. Super fun. Great to recap that with you. That was one of my favorite things so far, so enjoyed it a lot. You know,
every December I always look back on the year that was YOB with our blog and with our podcast, and as I recall, the finale of that series was our most listened to podcast.
Yeah.
Do you know that? You remember that? I posted about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know,
my wing 3 is oh yeah, I'm putting that away forever.
It was such a great it was a great conversation because I shared kind of how I identify. If anyone didn't listen to it, if you're one of the few who missed it, definitely go back and listen to it, because I talked about androsexuality. How fun was that? And then but then the second half of that conversation was just us reflecting on all the beautiful people, and it wasn't an exhaustive list. It was a very handpicked list of 8 or 9 people from our community, but I thought it was a nice little cross section of the various sexualities among us, and it was fun. It was fun to look back on that with you. I just admire, if I don't say this enough, Erin, I just admire how studious you are. All your notes, all of your receipts, all of your, all the things that you bring, not just to podcast, but to, a whole slew of other things that we're working on right now. I give you affirmations for that.
Thank you. I receive it.
Yes.
I receive it gladly.
It's don't shove it back in my face, please.
I won't give you gifts.
Yeah, don't give me gifts, please. Erin, something that we did very recently, it was just last week or a week or so ago, as of this recording, is that we did our first ever combination, your other brothers and your other sisters Zoom call. And it was so fun.
Yes, it was a great time. Had an amazing turnout.
Yeah, I don't know what number was floating around in your head. In my head, for whatever reason, I latched onto, if we get 15 to 20, a combination of brothers and sisters, I would be thrilled if we had 15 to 20. And I think we topped out over 30 at one point, because it was hard to keep track, because there were a couple people, it was so sweet. There were a couple people that were in the same Zoom square, so that made it hard to count sometimes. But I think in all, we had about 30, 31 people from all over. It was a wonderful, wonderful time.
Yes, I really enjoyed seeing everyone together. It made me a little emotional. And just excited for future calls. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I remember going back to, I guess it was your first ConvoCast was one of the reasons why I first brought you on the ConvoCast, however, whenever that was, a year ago, year and a half ago, 2 years ago. How long has it been?
It's been 2. It hasn't been 2 years.
I feel like it hasn't been quite 2 years, but something like that. I'd have to check the records.
It's been a year.
Okay. Yeah. But anyway, going back to that very first ConvoCast where we put it out there. Okay, here's this mystical woman that exists out there who's running hopefully what's going to be your other sisters. Here she is. And you shared a little of your story, and we put it out there. And so over the last couple of years or year and a half, whatever it's been, you've heard from different women in all places, all around the country and other places. And it's been really fun for you to do all that kind of behind the scenes. And you've been building that your other sisters community. And it's just at the point now where it's okay, obviously YOB has existed as its own entity for about 8.5 years now. you guys have had some time to get to know each other and form some bonds and visit each other and kind of develop a kinship with one another. And so it was finally time to bring both sides of this community together. And yeah, from my vantage point, like just seeing, you never know when there's new people in the room, like what's the vibe going to be? How is this going to go? But from my vantage point, like I was like, man, I think we're having great flowing conversations, lots of smiles, lots of laughter, lots of just camaraderie and similarities. And, yeah, I just thought it went well, and you did a great job leading it. You led this first call, and yeah, how did you think it went? You mentioned it was emotional. What was so emotional about it for you?
Yeah, I mean, even going back further from the first time I came on the ConvoCast, right? Like that was 2 years ago when I first reached out to you, I believe. And, just having this vision about starting a community for women, but then even at the very beginning, having the intention to be together as well. So each time, whether it's been an in-person hangout in North Carolina or, just amping people up and getting people excited about future things. The other week was the first time that was all in, or it was the first time that we had an example of that coming into fruition.
Yeah.
So yeah, super sweet to see everyone get to know each other and get excited about the other people on the call, engaging with people about like, oh, where are you from? What do you like to do? What is your favorite condiment? Like stuff that brings people together.
Which my answer to that, I struggled with that question because my answer to that was Greek yogurt. And I was like, I don't know if that's a condiment, but it's like a dippable substance. So I'm just going to roll with Greek yogurt is my favorite condiment.
It's a good alternative to sour cream.
There you go.
And
maybe sour cream. Yeah, that's actually, that would probably be a more traditional answer. But you know me as a 4. You're a 4 as well. I have to give a different answer. No one's going to say Greek yogurt is their favorite condiment. So
no, you've got to say the finest creams from the cows in a misty mountain fog, listening to beautiful music played on the violin.
Exactly. You painted a great picture. Yes, exactly.
No, the call was really special. Just kept it lighthearted for now, but with the hopes of going deeper and sharing more meaningful stories with each other in the future. But we all had some whole group time where we introduced ourselves, and then we went into breakout rooms for the latter part. And I had some prompts prepared and got to visit the Zoom rooms to see if, conversation was running smoothly, if it was about time for a new prompt, whatever was needed. But yeah, I was very encouraged with the turnout and with how people were engaging with each other.
Yeah. Like I said, I thought it went really well. You did a great job throwing that together. We had a good turnout. So thank you to all of the brothers and the sisters alike for showing up, for contributing, for just being part of this new thing that's enveloping and unfolding. It's been, really cool to see what's happening. And so to let everyone know, if anyone out there is intrigued about this, whether you are already in YOB, whether you are part of Erin's YOS crew, if you're a man or a woman out there listening and you are just intrigued by all of this and you want to learn more, or you want to, just get more information and figure out where you fit into this, maybe. We would love to hear from you. Shoot us an email, contact@yourotherbrothers.com. And if you're a woman looking to get connected with Erin, just put that in the subject line or just say something in the contact email and I will pass you along to her. I've passed along so many to you, Erin. I feel like it's 20 or 30 women at this point. Like we've had a good response over the last, year and a half, however long it's been. And so I wanted to throw that out there because our plan is to do this again in May. So about another couple months from now, we'll plan another YOB+YOS combination call and continue where we left off. And who knows, Erin, maybe go a little deeper than favorite condiment. We'll see.
Yeah, is a hot dog a sandwich?
Ooh, yeah, it's a very dynamic debate.
Classic youth group.
Yeah. I had someone at youth group because I volunteer in my church's youth group, and this actually came up just this Sunday. What a providential thing to bring up, Erin.
Wow.
Because he was like, there's sandwiches and then there's tacos, and so he was arguing that a hot dog is a taco because you fold it. It's not like stackable. A sandwich has to be stackable, and that's a taco, which is foldable. Yeah. So I don't know. A hot dog is a taco. I was like, I agree with that. I follow your logic. So
yeah, I guess.
We'll save that for another conversation. But there you go. There's the YOB+YOS call update. It was great fun. I had a great time with everybody. It was fun to see everyone. It was a great energy. That's the things, a comment that I think came up earlier is just like, it was just such a great energy, and I'm excited for that energy to continue into May and beyond. So stay tuned. All right. And so today, as we record this, we are in the middle of Lent, which is the season before Easter, these weeks preceding Easter Sunday. And sometimes we're good about addressing Lent or addressing Easter, and sometimes it gets away from me as somebody running the podcast or running the blog. And so I remember it wasn't last year, but I think it was 2 years ago, we did a podcast called Lent and Celibacy, I think, which was the sequel to Advent and Celibacy. So that was a fun one. So I'll post the link to that. If you're looking for a Lent deep dive, we had pastors Ben and Will on that episode. So that was a fun discussion of Lent and how we tied it to celibacy. So what a fun journey that was. And so I just thought in the remaining time that we have left, Erin, as the hourglass kernels of sand run behind me, I thought it'd be cool to just like get each of our experiences with Lent, primarily Lent, not so much Easter. But we still love you, Jesus. And just like talk about our experiences with it, our lack thereof, and kind of how that brings us to present day. And I have some thoughts. As well about Lent and fasting, which I'll share if we have time. And so I wanted to throw it to you first, Erin. What is your experience with this Lent season?
Sure. Growing up, I grew up in a spiritual environment that emphasized the Holy Spirit and the works of the Holy Spirit, the visible works of that very Pentecostal environment. And we did not observe Lent. We would fast in January at the beginning of the year for 7 days, upwards to 3 weeks. And I've continuously been in different Protestant denominations that don't make a point to observe Lent. Apart from my time in Cambodia, which I was in an Anglican congregation, but when I was a part of that congregation, I did not observe Lent during the season. But I was able to participate in Holy Week for the first time. And I guess to make it short, I am in a place where I wanted to kind of reconnect and feel more connected with the church at large, and be a part of this tradition that, I do my research. So I looked and thought, well, when did Lent even start? Started in 325 AD. And I just wanted to feel more connected to such a long history of Christians fasting intentionally during this time, building up to Easter. So this year I am actually observing Lent for the first time.
Wow. You did a great job of answering my question, which was going to be, so have you observed it before or is this it? So this is the first time. That is really cool.
Yeah.
And a nice little history too. Yeah. I think, so for me, growing up in a definitely not liturgical type of faith, like Lent was something that I had to learn was a thing and that existed. And actually we had a Zoom call on sacrifice, not the aforementioned YOB+YOS co-ed call, but we had a YOB call on the topic of sacrifice. And one of the Yobbers actually made a really great point where he like grew up in a Southern Baptist environment. And he was like, honestly, joining YOB, I'm learning things. I'm paraphrasing him, but he was like, I'm learning things about other denominations and other faith practices that I just have never heard of. And Lent being one of them. And I resonated so deeply with that. I was like, honestly, my journey with YOB and then the years on Zanga before YOB, like that was like me swimming in other Christian waters, for lack of a better image or phrase, like for the first time, honestly, because I was in my little white Georgia, super Republican, white Christian, white Christian bubble for my whole middle school, high school, college. Like it was pretty consistent up until my early 20s, mid 20s. And so honestly, yeah, the internet, what a great tool of introducing me to other people, also following Jesus, but doing it maybe in different ways. And I had to learn like, what was Lent and what is it? And should I be afraid of it? Is it too Catholic-y? Is it like, that was like my first thought is like, is it something that I can do as a non-Catholic person? Essentially was my first thought of it. And actually the church I went to at the time in Southern California, they were definitely an evangelical church, but they were non-denominational. And what I really liked about them is that they did like dabbling in kind of liturgical things, like reciting liturgies. And they actually had an Ash Wednesday service one year, which was, I was like, what is Ash Wednesday? I didn't know any of this stuff. And so that was like the first time I significantly understood what it was and what it was for. And there'd be various years like going back to, so it's been like a decade now, but it's like going back a decade. There have been some years where I observed Lent and quote unquote gave up something, or fasted from something, whether it was food related, drink related, or something else related. And then there have been other years where I just was very negligent and just didn't care to participate that year. And I think for whatever reason, because I don't remember doing anything last year, but this year I felt kind of a new energy, a new momentum to participate again. And so like you, I'm also participating, and it's been really great just to have a part of the year that can be spiritually dedicated and focused. And it's like every day I had awareness of what I'm doing and what I'm giving up. And there's something beautiful about the intentionality there that the rest of the year lacks. And I actually want to like figure out a way to incorporate fasting into my life, not just fasting, again, food and drink related, but finding other things to give up for a portion of time as this, again, this discipline, this practice that is sharpening my faith and focusing my intentions and helping me connect with the Lord on a more visceral level. That's something that I hope will come out of this season of Lent.
Definitely. I absolutely agree with that last part. And I think for myself, fasting growing up was seen as a way to gain favoritism with God, and it wasn't seen as a way to be intimate with God. And for a while, I just didn't really want to engage with the practice. And in college, I would fast sometimes, but again, I wasn't exposed yet to Christians observing Lent. And at this time, I felt particularly drawn to observe.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So I have through the wonders of technology and the way everything works, if all goes according to plan, I will have a blog that has already gone up that some of you have already read, even though I've only written one draft of it and it doesn't exactly exist yet. So that's a fun little teaser for for this, is that I'm fleshing out some thoughts on Lent and fasting, and hopefully the blog will be out by the time this episode comes out. But anyway, the crux of that post is me me kind of figuring out my motivations for fasting. And I'm curious as a fellow Enneagram 4, I don't know if this is going to resonate because you're also a woman and I'm a man. And so maybe there's differences there. I mean, there's all kinds of, not that all 4s are the same, because there's diversity amongst 4s.
Oh yeah.
A lot of diversity in the room. But I've had to, and I think this will appeal to other types, not just 4s, but I've had to check my motivations for fasting, because there have been times of my life where I have fasted, and I think the motivation was mostly good about, like it was kind of anchored in repentance and feeling bad, feeling sorry about a bad night with pornography, or about doing other things online, or just having a really rough stretch dealing with lust or dealing with other struggles in my life, and kind of like reaching a point where I was like, I need a reset. And so I'm going to fast for 24 hours or 48 hours or whatever it is. And so I think what I struggle with is the motivation of like, am I doing that because I'm genuinely like in a place of repentance and wanting to show God that I care and that I want to be better and I want to follow him. I want him to forgive me, and I want to do a better job of not lusting and not giving into temptation, or honestly, is it like me kind of self-punishing and just saying I don't deserve to eat for the next 2 days, or I don't deserve to do this or to do that, or it's sort of like this self-punishing thing that, if I'm honest, kind of feels like it kind of feels good. I don't know how to phrase it. Hopefully the blog will do a better job. This is why I'm a writer, not a speaker. Hopefully the blog will flesh this out a little bit better. And maybe this recording is helping me flesh it out, honestly. But yeah, I don't know. I struggle. I think I struggle with like, do I want to connect with God, or do I want to punish myself? And where's the line there between, what is a healthy fast and what is an unhealthy fast? Because that opens up the door to like eating disorders and body image and all kinds of other things that I've never struggled with overeating, but I've struggled with undereating plenty of times throughout my life. And so that's something that I also want to like check. And I imagine there are people out there listening that have different experiences also with eating disorders and body image, and fasting may not be a good decision for them based on a history there and what's going on. So I don't know, the rambling thoughts of Tom, but something that I'm just being conscious of with anytime I enter into a season of fasting, because it's something I do want to incorporate into my life more, but I just also want to make sure my motivations are good and that I'm not, I don't know, just being unnecessarily hard on myself, because I do that too often.
No, I definitely do resonate with that, and especially growing up, seeing not only, well, maybe growing up, I saw it more as a way for people to receive their praise, like how in the parables Jesus is talking about, or how when he's talking about the Pharisees, he's like, don't fast like the Pharisees, wash your face, and, basically treat the day as if it's like any other day. Don't wail about your hunger or whatever, like the Pharisees would. And the environment I was in when I was younger was very pharisaical in that way. And I think combined with that, I'm thinking of those intentions, like, am I trying to be more self-righteous or appear more self-righteous or disciplined, but am I also being too hard on myself, or almost punishing myself, like you were alluding to as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the pharisaical component, like that is another element of it too, because I mean, this is a very tender conversation, and I think about it too. It's like I want to have an honest conversation about fasting and about Lent, and there's no way to get around it. I mean, we just told the audience a few minutes ago that you're doing it, I'm doing it, but we don't have to get specific about it. And I don't want to get specific about like, what are you giving up, or what are you doing, or for how long, or anything like that, because I really want to, I always have a little chuckle when, I don't know if people still do this, I'm sure people do, like when people do a social media fast and they post like their last tweet or their last post is like, "Hey y'all, I'm going to be gone for the next 3 weeks because I'm taking a fast from social media. So if you need to get in touch, just know I'll be on the other side of that." And I'm sure the intentions are good as far as like just wanting to stay in touch with people, but it also comes across as a little pharisaical, or a little, like you were saying, like just act as you would normally. Don't you don't need to let anyone know that you're doing this big spiritual thing for attention or anything like that. And so that's something I also want to check motivations for whenever, especially being an internet person with a blog and a podcast and all that social media presence, all that stuff.
Right. Gotta let your fans know that you're peacing out for a little while, and
I know
exactly why.
Yeah, this is why. You could just say I'm gonna be gone for a couple weeks. Like, you don't have to bring the fast into it or what have you. But yeah, I don't know. Christians are fun. I just aren't Christians great? I don't know. So yeah, those are some thoughts, because here's how I'll close the conversation, because I think fasting, and I think this specifically in these weeks before Easter, I think it can be a really beautiful primer, a good journey. That's why I love Advent too. Like, Advent was another thing I had to learn, and there's a lot of parallels. And we did an Advent and celibacy episode as well in our podcast archives. But yeah, I love the journey of getting to the celebration, because I think, different churches do it differently, but like, I'm somebody who obviously tends toward the darker side of life, or loves, I resonate with a more dynamic palette of emotions than a lot of people, and a lot of church people, I would say. So Christmas is great. I love Christmas. Easter is great. I love Easter. But it's like, what about the journey of getting there? Like, what about the long wait of silence and waiting for a savior to be born? What about, what about the march up to Calvary of carrying a cross and being beaten and stricken and like hanging there naked for everyone to see? Like, where is that? Where is that like recognition and sitting with that a little while? And so that's something that appeals to me, of not just making the super jump to the celebration, and just recognizing the weight of what gives the celebration. And so that's kind of this new appreciation that I have. And I want to I don't want life to just go back to normal after Easter Sunday, like figuring out a way to still feel the tension, both the tension and the waiting, and also the celebration as well. Moving beyond Easter.
Yeah. I mean, our world is full of the suffering, the anticipation for being redeemed. And I think Advent and Lent both give us a way to connect with God while we're still waiting for things to be made right, for us to be forever with God. And yeah, just going towards the celebration, or just focusing on the one day of celebration. It's also not celebrating well. Like having one day of celebration. I think Eve Tushnet, and I'm sure other folks have said it, but we don't really feast well. Like we don't celebrate super well. And because we don't celebrate super well, we may not lament very well. We have a hard time waiting, or like in the Lenten season, practicing some form of self-control or acknowledging our weakness. And I think that's what makes these seasons special. It's a specific time to reflect on the realities, but then to also hold together that our God is someone who came down and made us have a right relationship with God, and that he will redeem us. But in the meantime, we're still broken, but also beautiful, created in the image of God, but prone to succumb to our weaknesses. But they don't cancel each other out necessarily.
Yeah, very well said. And something I wanted to put out there too, if anyone's listening and, whenever this episode comes out, it'll still be in this period of Lent, but it's obviously there's not many days left. Like if this conversation sparks anything in you to just try it, if you've never tried fasting, or if you've never tried not doing something, not eating something, not drinking something, not accessing something, try it for a few hours, try it for a day, try it for an evening. Sit with the discomfort of that lack. Cause I just think there's something profound there. It's like, especially being in an age right now in technology, social media, like everything, there's constant stimulation everywhere. And to just like sit in the discomfort of not being stimulated or not having like some urge satisfied, or some, again, whether it's physical hunger or some other hunger, like, I don't know. I think God does beautiful things. And when we like practice waiting, I think, like, I don't know, this is something that gets really scary, because it's like the world is only becoming more like immediate and more now. Like Amazon deliveries can happen in like 3 hours now, or 2 hours now. Like it's insane. Like things, we are expecting everything immediately, and waiting is just getting increasingly difficult. I'm finding anyway. And so I just think there's something to this practice that I definitely want to lean into and practice. And yeah, you don't have to be perfect at it, because I certainly haven't. Like I'm like such a bad Lenter, Erin. I started like 3 days. I think it started 4 days late, and then there were 2 days that I completely forgot about it, that I was doing it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot.
Hey, that's okay.
I was like, Lord, please show me grace, Lord. Yeah. And I think he does. And I haven't forgotten since the second time, but like, I think, it's been beautiful. God is good. Like, I think, practicing waiting, and I love that concept of us not learning to feast well, or not learning to lament well. Like, hopefully it sharpens those spiritual tools. And I hope people in our community, come out of this Easter season just a little sharper and a little more connected to the Lord for whatever their Lent, whatever their fasting looks like this year.
Absolutely.
Thanks for fleshing this out with me and giving a little YOB+YOS catch up recap. It's always good to catch up with you, Erin, and let everyone know what's happening in this universe,
Yes, in the cinematic universe, this crossover.
Absolutely. The YOB+YOS crossover, it's happening more and more often.
That's
so
right.
Like I said, anyone out there, if you want to be a part of the crossover, the epic crossover that will change the world, please get in touch. Contact at yourotherbrothers.com. And again, whether you're a man or a woman, if you want to get connected into what we're doing, we would love to have you. We'd love to have you aboard. There's always room for one more at the table. That's right. Or in the nest, if you will. Leave a comment, you guys, on this episode on yourotherbrothers.com/podcast. Find this episode, this ConvoCast with Erin on Lent, and give us your thoughts. Yeah, about fasting, about your experience with Lent or lack thereof. We would love to just learn your experience in this world, and just be able to support one another in sharpening this discipline of fasting. So we'd love to get some thoughts on the blog. We always appreciate it when you guys do that. And Erin, hopefully you'll be back soon with more updates, and whether I make it over to you or you come back to the Blue Ridge. I think you're sort of due for another Blue Ridge in studio podcast. I think that would be fun. Make that happen sometime.
Absolutely. Would love to visit the Jewel of the Blue Ridge and go get Indian food with you. Just hang out, have a great time. So it'll be on the docket soon enough.
Asheville has so much Indian food. It's ridiculous. We have so many Indian restaurants now.
It really does.
Every time I look around, there's another Indian restaurant. Wow. We have such a diverse restaurant lineup over here, you guys. Any other small, medium-sized town our size, I dare you to find a restaurant matchup that we have here. It's ridiculous. So good. All right, Erin, have a lovely rest of your Lenten season, and a happy Easter to you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Happy Good Friday. I know you love it. So.
Oh yes. Good Friday.
Mournful Friday to you.
Thank you. I love Good Friday, but that's another blog for another time. Listeners, until we cast our next convo, happy Easter. Bye, friends.
Bye.
Did you hear the little lady tell you it's recording?
Yes, recording now.
Okay. Zoom lady is there.
Okay.